Okay, the next ones are called sum and difference of cubes. Okay, so let's look at these. These have a rule that says very simply, it's this. X cubed plus y cubed is equal to x plus y times x squared minus xy plus y squared. And then that's the sum of cubes. Your difference of cubes is x cubed minus y cubed is equal to x minus y times x squared plus xy plus y squared. Okay, but if you're like me, you don't remember memorizing of those kind of formulas very well. So I have a different way to remember it. And I'm going to show you a couple other ways to think about this. If I have x cubed plus y cubed, here's what we do. We bring down the x of the same sign, and the y of the y cubed. I see I put squared instead of cubed up there. Then we look at this. SOPPS. Okay, so what does SOPPS stands for? S stands for square. So what are we going to square? We're going to square the x squared, the x. So this is x squared. This S also stands for the word square. And this one says you're going to square the y. So now this is y squared. Okay, since if this is either plus or minus, a negative times a negative is a positive, and a positive times a positive is a positive, this will always be plus. Now, these two stand for opposite product. Okay, so opposite product. Opposite product of what? X times a positive y is a positive xy. The opposite of that is a minus xy. You see? That gives you that same formula, but in a way that you can remember it. And it applies to whether it is the difference of cubes or the sum of cubes. You just memorize that SOPs, okay? And that can help you. Okay, here's another one. X cubed minus y cubed. I look at this as x times x times x, and negative y times negative y times negative y. Now, my first one says bring down my x and bring down my minus y. See, that gives you bring down the first, the same sign, and the second. Now, what's left? Again, applying SOPPS, but I also look at here. I have x times x left, so that goes in my first one. I have negative y times negative y left. That's my plus y squared. And now I go my opposite product from here, and x times negative y is a negative xy. Opposite product is plus xy. So it's a combination of looking at the factoring of it in writing out your cubes, and then going from there into your SOPs and dealing with it that way. So those are two ways that can be very helpful for you when you're dealing with these. Now, let's look at one other potential method. And if you tend to be really visually oriented on this one, and this is called the rabbit ear method, okay? So let's look at our rabbit ear method. x cubed plus y cubed. Again, bring down the first plus the second. The first, same sign, and the second. Now, to get to our next one, first rabbit ear, you go back and come in, meaning x squared. Your last one, back and in, meaning y squared, and a plus. Okay? Now, here's the last one. Here's your product and the opposite side. So you get the mouth and the other part of your rabbit. Some people really like rabbit ears. I don't function as well with that as the SOPs, but if you are really visually oriented, this might be the key for you. So I'm showing you all three methods, and it makes a rabbit face. Maybe this looks more like a rabbit face, possibly. I don't know which is the most like a rabbit face. You decide. Okay, so now let's look at some actual problems instead of just working with your x cubed and your y cubed. X cubed minus 27. X times x times x. Negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. Bring down your first, minus my 3. So this one is gone and this one is gone. Now what's left? My S, O, P, P, S. X squared, square my first. Negative 3 times negative 3 is plus 9. And opposite product, negative 3x, so plus 3x. Not too hard, is it? Okay, let's look at another one. 1,000 plus y cubed. This is 10 times 10 times 10, y times y times y. Okay, our first 10 plus y, and then S, O, P, P, S. 10 squared is 100, and then y squared, positive y squared, and then my opposite product, positive 10y, opposite would be negative 10y. Let's look at another one. Give you several of these to practice with so that they don't throw you when you see them when it comes time to work with them. Okay? How about this one? 250 x cubed plus 16y cubed. Well, we can see with this one, x cubed and y cubed, those are perfect cubes. 250 and 16 are not perfect cubes, but they have a common factor of 2. So let's take out our common factor first. That makes 125 x cubed plus 8y cubed. Now we have a perfect cube here. 125 is 5 times 5 times 5, and 8 is 2 times 2 times 2. So now we have 5x times 5x times 5x, and 2y times 2y times 2y. Okay? 2 times, bring down my first, and my plus my 2y. 2 are gone. SOPPS. Okay, square my first one. 5x times 5x is 25x squared. My plus and my square on the last one. 2y times 2y is plus 4y squared. And now my opposite product, this makes 10xy. So my opposite product is minus 10 xy. Okay? And there you are with your SOPs. And we're going to do one more of these. Okay? P minus Q cubed plus 125. So this is P minus Q times P minus Q times P minus Q. That's 5 times 5 times 5. Okay, my first one is going to be a P minus Q plus 5. Okay, S-O-P-P-S. It says this is P minus Q squared. And here I've got 5 squared is plus 25. And then the product of this is 5 times P minus Q. And so we're going to have the opposite product of that, so that'll be minus 5 times P minus Q. Now, this one gets a little more complex, and we're going to have a little more space here. So let me erase what we have here so I can write it over here. So, you're going to have P minus Q plus 5. And now this is going to multiply what? Well, P minus Q squared. You're going to have to FOIL this, have P squared minus PQ minus PQ, and then plus Q squared. Okay? So that's the first thing that's going to go in here. P squared minus 2PQ, because there's 2 of them combining your like terms, and then plus Q squared. Now, the next one we're going to have to do is simplify this. Negative 5 times P minus Q is going to be negative 5P plus 5Q. So we have minus 5P plus 5Q, and then plus 25. And that is what that simplifies to. As you can see, it's pretty messy. It's a pretty long problem. But they can sometimes get messy. And so that is the end of the factoring on those kind of factorings.